Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Clearly Ambiguous. Now, I hope all of you are doing well, and I'm sure as we like to keep ourselves abreast of all the happenings around us through social media. So today we are going to talk about something that's actually very trending, uh, at least in our subcontinent, uh, on social media, and in most cases it would have been nice if the person who was so popular was trending, but unfortunately he has made whether you can say it a deliberate or as he said that it was not deliberate and he is not an expert on something, but he's committed a big faux pas. Now what I mean is that, see, over the years we have seen that there is a normalization of a certain type of language. There was a time when uh, you there was a huge debate, and let's go back to our good friend Bollywood. There was a huge debate when Bollywood, in their songs and their dialogue, started normalizing a few things. But there was a censor board, and yes, and there was a huge hue and cry. But after a point of time, we were kind of okay with it. Then, as time passed, there were certain other rules which are challenged, but it's okay. See, there are certain practices in society which should be challenged. Uh, there is a lot of pride and there was a lot of incentive that was given to people who had a very good hold over the English language. And although I might not agree with his policies or his political alignments, but then again, we are really proud to have somebody like Shashi Tharoor in our midst, who has immense control over his language. And on the other side of the spectrum as well, there are a lot of other people who have a very good control over the Hindi language as well. But when you kind of make it cool, and this actually came from the West. There was actually a point of time in the West, there was a huge hue and cry about the fact that the lyrics of certain songs were, just too much. So, if you remember, there were certain Eminem CDs on which there used to be a parental advisory, so to speak. But do we have those parental advisories on social media, right? Although social media, if you are on YouTube and you're a creator on YouTube, what YouTube does do, make you do as a creator, is that you have to self-certify everything that you upload. Now, the reason why YouTube does that is because they hope that they can align the particular audience that you want. And in recent times, because we are becoming a society which rewards the shock and awe, or the how do you say it, the new way to reach to the top is to basically go to the bottom. Uh, Everybody seems to kind of racing to it, whether it's stand-up comedians, whether it is content creators, everybody just wants to get there fast, right? So what happens to a lot of these content creators? What happens is that they would end up doing something which usually is not uh, uh, something that they would probably do on a regular basis, but they would probably do it as a shock and an awe. And okay, let's try this. Now, unfortunately, the crass joke that Mr. Elabadia uh, used in a particular forum, if you actually, it's very interesting. Let me actually, yeah. So if you look at my point is, have we become so lazy that, see, if it is good that if you imitate something which is really good, right? If you imitate somebody's good hold over certain language, or if you, because see, the word influencer, everybody wants to be an influencer today, and why do what is this business of influence? Because people have realized that influencers are the new marketeers and the salespeople and the corporators and the corporate, not corporators, the corporates, and everybody is running after these influencers, whether they are doing financial products to uh, clothing brands, so on to speak. So everybody wants to peddle their influence. But what are these influencers doing? They have a hold. See, that's good that you have a sphere of influence over people, and mostly young people who do not follow traditional media anymore. They don't watch television that much. Because television essentially, it's kind of becoming a thing of the past. Even on television, people are watching not mainstream media, but OTT platforms and social media, so on and so forth. So these influencers have this influence over these viewers, and what exactly are they doing? Just to have some a little bit more views, because as I said, it pays to be obscene today. It pays to be obscene. If you look at certain reels, you might end up saying, okay, probably you go hunting for that kind of content. That's the reason why the algorithm suggests that content. But if you look at it, that even if you're not hunting for that content, there is a lot of content that gets suggested to you which probably you wouldn't even watch in front of your peers or your children. But that content is getting incentivized. And that's the reason, probably, obviously, you cannot blame the creators, right? So who to blame? Do we blame the social media? Do we blame the content creator or the influencer? Or do we blame our society, which basically seems to shrug its shoulders every time and say, it's okay. So what? Right? See, because there is freedom of speech. You are free to say whatever you want, and I'm free to say whatever I want. But then again, in our context, in our particular country's context, the freedom of speech should not impinge on somebody else's freedom, and it comes with reasonable restrictions. So that is something that we need to bear in mind. And how and who would decide what would be a reasonable restriction? In certain cases, we feel outraged that sometimes the authorities can be too restrictive, or end up taking punitive measures for probably that was not something that was so drastic or crass. But at the same point of time, we see that there are certain people who get away with absolutely anything and everything. And we are shocked, and we are in that rage right now. And what is going to happen? I'm sure the said content creator at this point of time has a wry smile on his face, and say, you know what? Even after I said it, I'm still trending. I hope not. I really hope not. But if you see the new discourse that is happening, so and why this? If it's our music, we need to go to the West and we have to, they copy their songs. And if there is movies that we make, yes, they're doing something good, fine. You should imbibe it in yourself. Don't absolutely rip it off, and come on, draw a line. And because, come on, do you really mean to say that if somebody is doing something immoral, I have to unbound? Because you know what? It really caused a stir over there, so I'm going to do it over here. The West introduced to a very lovely word called taboo. And I've realized that if you look at the West right now, what they end up doing is that if they want to really go after something, they'll say, "Oh, this is a taboo, and this taboo has to be broken." And then they'll go about, normalizing certain things, which are far more outrageous than what was taboo in the first place. So, do we really just want to be a part of a society where we just have to create outrage all the time? And what would be the appropriate punishment, so to speak, for such an influencer who has, of course, who has been rewarded by even our Prime Minister? Because, of course, I'm sure, see, somebody might criticize the way he makes content, and somebody might even come to my channel and say, you know what, look at him and look at you. I understand all that. I'm just outraged on the fact of what he spoke in this particular context. There have been videos that and podcasts of this particular creator that I've watched in the past, and yes, I've appreciated. I'm sure even I have commented nice things over certain podcasts that I've watched. I won't criticize his good content, so to speak, but what do you want to do? Normalize. And you know what happens? When such an influencer says something like this, and although he has apologized and gone away, you know what's going to happen to a young rebellious mind? Is like, listen, come on, what is so bad about what he has said? And that's what's going to trigger. And the young of today would find it absolutely normal tomorrow to have a discourse like this. And really, a lot of people ended up saying, that what would his parents think? Why get his parents? He's the one who's mentioned this comment. He's made this incestuous innuendo, so to speak, and seems to have gotten away with it. There is a lot of debate and discussion right now happening of like everybody is like the people who love him, they'll obviously like to defend him. And what are we defending? What exactly are we defending? We are defending the fact that, you can basically get away with almost anything and everything just because it's freedom of speech. You are free to, just because it doesn't get you enough views, and my bread and butter is basically get more views and get more exposure, means that, all that I will do is I will not care about the fact how low I have to go. Because you know what? And this is what the entire debate about TRPs was about a decade back. That I don't care of what content I'm churning out there, misogyny and women's rights violations and whatever was being shown on television, because you know what? Yes, it got you the TRP. I know. I actually heard somebody quote somebody else, but it was something very interesting that I heard. It was like, there is no incentive for being decent today. Because that's what, look at the influencers. Look at the big influencers right now. Most of them. You have one gentleman who, anyways. There was this huge controversies, a lot of food bloggers caused a while back, and I was really outraged about the fact that it was like, what is happening? What is happening? Just because you really want that next viral food video, you would go to any extent to, you would put anything with everything, and just because you had gutka being added to omelets and Fanta being added to chai and so on and so forth, just because you wanted to get that shock, and now what's the new thing? What's cool? What's cool right now is how far can I push it in the name of dark humor? Okay, dark humor. Now let's not go down that line, otherwise I'll have to explain what are different types of humor, so on and so forth. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, what is your credibility? And anyways, forget my credibility. All that I'm saying right now is that I feel what the person said was absolutely wrong. And I'm outraged about it. What can I do about it? Well, this is all I can do about it. I can talk about it. And maybe you should talk about it as well. I'm sure there are a lot of keyboard warriors going crazy right now. And yes, the politicians have jumped in. The police complaint has been registered. And that will follow its... Let's give the law of the land the chance to go the way it wants to. And he has, of course, apologized. And even if it's a half-hearted apology or whatever it is, it's an apology. It's up to us whether we accept it or not. My personal opinion, I don't accept that apology. He has to probably do a little more. Because he's lost me as a subscriber. And yes, he might say, you know what, I've got so many million subscribers, doesn't matter. Well, there is always a time when you have that one subscriber. You start your channel, you have that one subscriber. And you see your channel grow. And I hope Mr. Allahabadia still has that humility to understand that he's become big not by having those crass jokes. He's become big by having reasonable conversations with reasonable people and people who are knowledgeable about things, so on and so forth. So I hope, anyways, all we can do is hope these days, isn't it? And we can hope that the discourse... Because the last time debates like this happened in our country where people thought that, it's very interesting, and I've always wanted to talk about this. We are even outraged by the word sex in this country. And there's nothing wrong with that word. It is in which sentence and what sentence construction you put it in, it will make it obscene. A medical professional or a doctor might end up using that word in an absolutely educational way or a medical advice kind of way, or talk about behaviors. But you can also use it in a way where it can mean something so obscene that you can really, feel the rage building up on you, inside you. See, lot many people say, oh, we abuse all the time. Yes, we use the F word, we use a lot of other words as well all the time. But they are a reaction, right? They are a reaction to something. We usually don't even think about it. We are with friends, we are cool. But then again, when we are with friends and we are doing that, we are not influencing thousands, hundreds and millions of people who are watching our videos. We are just with friends, right? Sitting on a chai tapri or a coffee shop, and we are having our banter, fine. And it's okay to showcase that banter. But then again, even in banter, do you really think that this is what we should probably be thinking about? There should be some no-goes, right? Come. Anyways, that's how I feel. Please mention in comment section how you feel about it, and what would you do if you were in his place, and what do you expect from your most favorite influencers and social media personalities out there? That's my time for today, and please do like, share, and as I said, comment. Until next time, you take care. Have a good one. Bye.